Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. I got a melee DPS tier list for Mythic Plus. This is going to be between keys from plus 10 to plus 20, somewhere in that range. I think it's just a good range for where most people are playing at, and there's a lot of other people covering tier lists for higher dungeons. But really, I think if you play any alts or anything like that, or you're just looking to have fun in Mythic Plus, I think you're somewhere between that 10 to plus 20 range. So that's what this is going to be based off of. I don't think I'm going to see a lot of these specs change into Season 2, at least right off the bat, from where things are. But that might depend on tuning, obviously, and tier set changes. But I mainly play melee DPS and tanking. So take that with what you will. Let me know if you agree with me down below, but let's just jump right into it. So let's start off with Feral Druid. I think it's high A tier, maybe even S tier, low S tier. Obviously, we see them in the MDI, but I'm talking lower keys. I think they're really fun to pick up. I think they have a high skill cap, but I mean, you can pick them up pretty quickly. They do great single target damage, I think, but fantastic AoE. I mean, their cleave is absolutely crazy right now. I love seeing Feral Druids like in a higher spot because, I got KSM back when they were absolutely like, D and F tier back in Shadowlands. And man, I did feel so good right now that you're putting out the numbers you are. I think they're a solid spec. If you've wanted to pick it up and you haven't yet, do it. It's fantastic from, up to, I think I've done highest key doing my Feral Druid is like plus 16, plus 17 right now this season, but really fun, absolute blast. Havoc Demon Hunter, S tier, man. This spec is fantastic. I think it brings a lot to the table. It has a higher skill cap than I first thought in the beginning of the season. I played it back in Shadowlands, and I thought it was an incredibly easy spec. It's different now. I think with the Fel Rush builds, to really optimize and get good with, man, you can be insane with this spec. The difference between a good Demon Hunter and a bad one is crazy, and positioning it matters a lot. But yeah, I think it's S tier. I think fantastic AoE, like absolutely crazy, and decent single target too. But I think they're S tier. I think they're above Ferals, and they have a lot more group stuns, single target stuns, fast interrupts. I mean, I know they both do, but man, I just think Havoc's up there for sure. Frost DK, man. I'm gonna say Frost DK is B. I think it falls behind these other two DPS right here, and it's definitely not as good as its unholy counterpart. I think it brings good damage, and I've seen some crazy keys with Frost DKs and AoE damage. Holy crap, it's insane. It's really fun to see, and I think they'll actually do slightly better in the lower range of keys, but once you start getting the higher ends of those, maybe plus 18, plus 19, plus 20s, I think people are going to be looking for Unholy DK for sure. There's just a big difference between the two. Still solid spec, and I think you can definitely push up to plus 20. I just think that Unholy is much better. Let's just do Unholy next. Unholy is S tier for sure. I think they're above Havoc in my mind. They're right around the same. Unholy DK, obviously we saw this in like some higher keys, but even if you're looking at the popularity for them, I mean, there's like 40,000 freaking Unholy DKs this season. It's absolutely crazy on a Raider.io. Around the 15, Mythic Plus 15 level, and it's just because they're in a good spot, and it goes even up as you're getting into higher keys, but they're incredibly fun to play, great AoE damage, great single target damage, just a solid spec overall. Let's do Survival Hunter next. Man, I think this spec is not in a great spot. I played with a few, pushing some keys on my warrior a little bit, plus 17s, played with a couple on plus 15s, plus 16. A lot of them did not do good damage, obviously, as you can tell, but one of them was absolutely crazy. I think it just knew spec really well, but I just think it falls behind. Obviously, they need to adjust some things for this spec to really bring it up to the level of even just B tier. I hope they do. I think they really shined, obviously, in Shadowlands, which I loved. I'm hoping they'll bring it back up and balance some things out, so everything is like B or higher. That'll be pretty sick, but yeah, they're struggling right now. Windwalker Monk, man. I think Windwalker is absolutely crazy. I think they're definitely A tier. I say they're probably slightly above Feral Druid. I think they just bring more to the table, especially from that plus 10 to plus 20 range. You have a group stun, you basically Ring of Peace to knock mobs out, paralysis. You have so much stuff to your toolkit. You do great single target and great AoE. Same as Feral. Both of these specs though are in a fantastic spot. Like they're solid specs. Ret, oh my gosh, I'm putting this thing in A tier. This thing slaps. I'm gonna put it lower than these two right now, but man, if you guys haven't played Ret, which I'm sure you have because I think everyone has played Ret, good lord. Their popularity jumped after all the changes they got, and they're fun as heck right now. I played some of mine, just in some plus 10, plus 11, plus 12 keys right now, but man, it is super fun. You do some crazy damage. You don't even have to know everything about the spec to do good damage, and I think that's kind of fun. Also a little broken. I'm sure we'll see some tuning here if we haven't already. I haven't looked into it recently, but I think they're A tier right now, especially. If you haven't played the spec, do it. It's a blast. I love the changes. Great position. and you can push some keys like crazy if you didn't know already. Let's do enhancement next. Man, I think enhancement's S tier. Some people might not agree with me there, but I think that they are. I think they do insane damage. I think we'll see. I think they got some slight nerfs, not huge nerfs, coming up in the next season. But I think they're in a really good spot right now. They're absolutely crazy. I think they'll stay up there, at least A tier to S tier. So if you're looking to, keep playing enhancement or haven't played it yet and you want to try it out, do it. Incredibly fun spec. I've gotten 3 of my classes, 4 of my classes to KSM now. My enhancement's my next one before the end of the season 1. It's a blast. It is so much fun. Man, I could play it all day. Honestly, 12 hours a day. I think it's a great spot, great single target, and great AoE. Just absolutely broken. Sub Rogue, man, I'm putting Sub Rogue in S2. Let's see if we need to adjust these slightly. I think I might put. I might do that. No, I think we do somewhere around this range. I'll leave it here. I think Sub Rogue is fantastic. They're in a great spot. Actually, I might move this here. Sub Rogue is just in a really good spot. Obviously, if you can look at any logs, especially the plus 15 level, they're very popular. They're the most. I think they're not the most popular, but do incredible damage. Especially when you're getting higher keys, plus 19, plus 20. Man, these guys crank. I think they have a high skill cap for it to be good. You obviously have a lot of abilities in your toolkit to help out the team, but I think that's why they're so good, and I think that's why they deserve to be in S tier. Let's do Outlaw next. I think Outlaw is A for sure. I think they're in a good spot. I just don't think they're quite as good as Sub Rogue right now. They're way more popular, and I mean, I think in the plus 10 to plus 20 range, I think you'll see. I've seen way more Outlaws than I have Sub Rogues. But the Sub Rogues that I have played with, I think I did a few keys where there was a Sub Rogue and an Outlaw Rogue in the same dungeon, and the Sub Rogue is beating the Outlaw every time. And that could be a skill thing for sure. I think Outlaw is great. I think it's a little bit easier to pick up than Sub. That might just be my opinion, but I think they're in a good spot. Solid A tier spec. And Assassination, I think that they're C probably. I just don't. I still think you can push some higher keys. I think you could probably get to plus 18, plus 19, plus 20 keys. Definitely Keystone Hero. If you know your spec pretty well, you know your class. But I do think they fall behind the other specializations for sure. I actually have more fun with this specialization than I do the other two. I have since the beginning of time for Rogues. I think they're incredibly fun. I think you could play them. I think you could push keys. I think we're just seeing way more Outlaw Rogues and Sub Rogues, which could depend on why the logs show that the way that they are. But if you look at any tier list, Assassination is not doing good, and they're definitely fall behind these other specs. Arms Warrior, okay, let's do Fury first, and I'll talk about Arms. I've been maining Arms for the last few weeks. Love it. I've been playing a lot of Fury too, but Fury Warrior, really good spot. I think they're A tier. I think they're lower on the A tier than these other specs. I think Outlaw brings more to the table, as does Ret, Fair. More damage here for sure than Fury. I think it's in a good spot. Obviously, if you look at highest keys completed, it's absolutely crazy, but especially from the plus 10 to plus 20 range, it's a super fun spec. It's easy to pick up. You do solid damage, and I mean, you can push through keys pretty easily. Like, it's a really fun spec. If you like to button smash and go Zerg, then this is it for you. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I have way more fun than with Arms, though. It's more methodical, but Fury's in a great spot. A lot of people have been putting this spec lower. I don't agree with them. I'm going to put it low. Either I'm going to put it with... I'll put it there, high B, but it's right next to Fury, I think, in my mind. Even if you look at the highest DPS in like the 80th percentiles on a WoW meta, I think, or something like that, you can see that they're doing basically the same damage. Even on like the 80th, 90th percentile right now in Mythic Plus Season 1, they're doing around the same damage. I think that this spec just... a lot of people don't play it as much, and I think that's why we're seeing the DPS logs and people are pushing higher with this key. But if you see Crit Cake, I believe, the Arms Warrior, man, he is high. He's at 3100, 3200 rating. But if we're talking about plus 10, plus 20, I can see why it might fall off. There's a higher skill cap, I think, for it. I don't think it's incredibly hard by any means, but like, I think it's easier than Assassination Rogue. But I think it brings great damage. Seriously, if you like Arms more than Fury, play Arms. I promise you can easily push up to plus 20 keys. Have a blast doing it. It's incredibly fun. But yeah, that's it for me. Let me know if you guys agree with me down below. I plan on making a range tier list here coming up soon for Mythic Plus, and then maybe doing a predictions here before Season 2. But this is where I think they stand right now, and I think that we'll see a lot of this carry over to Season 2 unless there's some crazy changes. Feel free to let me know if there's some new changes that came up and I missed or something like that I should have talked about. Let me know down in the comments below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.